What up, Savages? Stell here, coming to you with a unique episode. This is a little bit of a how-to video that we're going to be doing, a little short video. With Wave 2 coming out and people getting that in their hands, we have a lot of new fan base, too, that is joining the world of Savage Crucible. So we definitely want to get some information out there for them to make sure that they're popping and swapping correctly, and they can utilize those character packs and create some characters of their own, which is what we intended to do with the line from the very beginning. So we'll get into it, show you a little bit of how to pop and swap. So these figures, even though they are meant to be popped and swapped, they're not meant to be pulled apart easily. You do have to apply heat in order to pop the legs, arms off, the torso area. They're not meant to just, pop apart super easy. So there is heat application that needs to be applied. We'll look at a diaphragm real quick. This has been up on our Facebook page, and I believe it's still up there. But this is a great breakdown, basically, to see all the points of articulation that the figure has. If you're not familiar with it or you haven't seen this, so you can see where you can break the figure apart, all the different joints and all that. So the one thing I will say is that if you are, let's say, for example, you're trying to pop off Joerger's arms, definitely make sure that you're applying pressure to that butterfly joint, so you're not taking that butterfly joint out with it. It's not an issue so much of you won't be able to put it back, but it is something that it requires a little bit of skill. It's not something that, anybody can kind of do if you're not familiar with. But again, if you're familiar, from G.I. Joes or Marvel Legends, popping butterfly joints out, then you shouldn't have any issues with that. So this is a great breakdown here. This is on the Facebook page, and I'll leave this up here for a couple more seconds, so people can kind of see it and see how the figure breaks down. So with that being said, we'll also do a little bit of a quick close-up look on the legs as well. So I'll take this down real quick. So here you can see that joint that we're talking about. So that is your leg joint that leads into the shin right there. So you can see that peg is quite long. So you want to apply a good amount of heat. And we've come to realize that, or I would say my preference is hot water. Get it right up to the point of it boiling. Doesn't necessarily have to be boiling, but get it right up to that point. And I think that is the best method for popping parts off of the buck. Now, can you use a hairdryer? Of course. And I actually would recommend using a hairdryer on some of the other pieces that we have, like, these belts, for example, that, don't require a lot of heat to be compliable, basically. So with that being said, I do have some hot water right next to me here, and I was messing with Who-Man the other day. So what I'll go ahead and do is I put one of Joerger's shins on him. So I'm going to pop that off, and I'm going to heat up his original shin and put it back on there. So it doesn't need a lot of time. What you will need, though, is definitely a towel. So I'm going to go ahead and dip that shin in there. So you want to keep it in there for about 10 to 15 seconds. And again, the best advice that I can give you is that if something is not moving with you applying force to it, apply more heat. If something is not giving way the way that you would think it would, you definitely got to heat it up some more. because like I said, that is a long pin there, a lot of friction going on, so you want to make sure that you got it nice and hot. So dried that off, and let's see. So you want to pull and twist at the same time. If you feel it coming, you can go ahead and keep going. I do feel like it's a little tight, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is dip it in the water again for another 5 seconds. That'll make sure that that shin is nice and pliable so you can pop it off. Now I am holding that knee joint on the top section of it because that knee joint is connected to the thigh. So you want to make sure you're holding that there because you could potentially pop it off at the wrong spot. So we'll go ahead, pull and twist, and there you go. You hear that pop, you're good to go. There's that joint again, so you can see there's that piece. So I am going to grab his original foot. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is dunk the top part of this boot into the water for another 10-15 seconds. And that should pop on there fairly easy. You can pop off the arms, the hands, not necessarily requiring any heat. The head as well. Those are two pieces that you can kind of just go ahead and pull apart. But when it comes to the forearms, the elbows, shoulders, definitely apply heat. The torso, upper and lower area, all those different areas, I would recommend a good amount of heat on them. So. And same process, but this time we're going to be pushing and twisting. So, and there we go. Once you kind of get that peg in there, it just slides right in, and you can see that is in there nice and tight, bendable, boom, just like that. So right here in the forearm area, that can pop off, elbow right here, and then upper shoulder area as well. So some cool little features that people might have not noticed. We talked about them in the 2 previous shows that we did. Human's belt buckle piece right here, that is removable. So that's along with the character pack torso belt, that is removable as well. Krieger right here, that is removable as well. And this can do as a buckler as well. So you can utilize this as a buckler shield for the character. And then lastly, Nash Horn right here, his waist piece comes off, the belt buckle piece comes off as well. So, and the thing about Nash Horn, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. People might have already realized it, but his horns are plugged in there real well. So you might be like, oh no, I don't think I can remove them. They're definitely removable. Again, just kind of grab it at the bottom area there. And twist and pull. Always twist and pull. So you can see, he's got a good sized porthole in there, so it ports in quite deeply in there. So, and you can cross utilize all those different accessory pieces as far as the horns go. So there's that one right there. You can do the bull horns as well. Oh, let me flip hands here so you can see you got a lot of nice customizability with that. And then also, those extra heads, you can port on, all sorts of different accessories there, even Nash Horn's horns. So, and that actually looks quite good with this mask. So, little pop and swap things there. Another thing that people might find a little bit challenging is applying the cape on Joerger. I got Jaeger's torso here because I popped off his legs, as you saw, to use on that other kit bash I have. But what I'm going to go ahead and show you here real quickly is applying the sheath on the cape and the pauldrons on Joerger. So what we're going to do is I'm going to keep the head off. We're going to grab the cape here, and as you've noticed, there's 3 portholes on the cape. So the 2 top ones right here, that's for the pauldrons, and the bottom one right here is for the sheath right there. So easiest way that I found to do this is we'll grab our belt piece. And again, if you have a hairdryer, just go ahead and hit that with a hairdryer, no problem. I just so happen to have the water here, so I'm just going to go ahead and dunk this. This only need about 5 seconds or so. So I found that it's easier to do this off of the figure. So what we're going to go ahead and do is grab the sheath, and I like to do this little cheat. You go to like a Starbucks or your local coffee shop, get like a stirring stick, and I'll port that in there. I cut it in half, port that in there, and it gives you some rigidity to the sheath, so you're able to kind of port that in there because it does tend to move a little bit. It is a hollow piece, so you can even keep the sword in there, but these sticks kind of keep it, wall to wall. There is a little play area with the sword in there as well. So, but the sword totally works. So keep the sword in there. You can use it for support. So let me dunk that belt just a couple extra seconds here. All right. So what we'll go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and port the sheath on the cape. So that is in the cape area. You can see the peg there. So that's inside. And we're going to go ahead and grab the cape. I'm going to go from the second to from the top. And that's nice and pliable. That's going to port right in there. Super easy. There we are. So that is all connected there. You can see, let me see if I can catch the peg. Yep. You see the peg connected on the belt piece. So, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is pass the pauldrons through, just because you have a little more of a clear visual that way of what you're doing. So go ahead and pass the pauldrons through the portholes. Get those in there. And I'm going to come back here. So we're going to grab our torso. We're going to loop the belt through. Bam. So that belt's on there. And then without putting the neck area in yet, I'm going to lift and see where that porthole is. So we're going to go ahead and port that left one in. I'm going to line up that right one now. So as you can see, that left one is ported in. Right, lining up the right and passing the hood as well at the same time, and go ahead and just port that in there. So there it is, folks. You have it all assembled, all put together. Let me just kind of knead it up here, make it look nice. And there you have it. Let's pop these sticks out, put the sword back in, and there it is. So we're going to go ahead and grab, since I got the unhooded head, we're going to go ahead and put that hood piece down, the down hood piece on. So there's that right there. And then we're going to go ahead and plug Mr. Joerger's head on. Bam. Oops. So there we go, folks. So we got Joerger. Hood down. There is a bendy wire in the cape here. And for those that got the shield of Dezera, the albino lizard Lemurian, this is the same exact cape, except his was done in black. This one's done in brown. But it is the same exact cape, so it has the same exact porthole. So if you do want to utilize this for another figure, you can totally do so. Little bendy wire there. You can totally, push it behind the pauldron, bring the pauldron down to kind of cap that. So nice design on this right here. So that is how you get Joerger's cape on. And then, of course, this belt piece has all sorts of ports in it, so you can port all sorts of different pieces. Same thing with Joerger's waist piece, and all sorts of different waist pieces throughout the line. You got your different port holes, so any type of accessories that came in the accessory pack. For those that read the second graphic novel, we'll go with the grappling hook here. So there's that look right there. Just kind of picture him having his legs. Or you can just Lieutenant Dan Joerger here. You ain't got no legs. So that's Jaeger there. And of course, guys, with these ports right here, we got our Wave 2 stuff. But don't forget, you also got anything from Wave 1 that also ports in here as well. So if you got, let's see, your shackles here, your scroll, Como's little water flask, H2O. So, you have all sorts of different options that you can plug and port, as well as armor pieces. All these overlay armor pieces from Wave 1, you can totally utilize on the line here on Wave 2. So let's see here. There's a little quick pop on for the from the Lemurian armor on the human buck. And of course, same thing, kind of how we did Human Shin. You can totally pop Wave 1 shins off, put them on Wave 2. So you definitely have a lot of customizability, and also you're adding more parts to your parts library. So there's more things that you can do now with the figures, which is awesome. Lastly, what I would like to show is applying the cape on Warrior with Ball and Chain. So he does have a little bit of a unique new system, I would say. Nothing that I quite have seen out in the market yet. You might have noticed he comes with these two plastic pieces that are ported into his back. Now, these plastic pieces here are supposed to hold the cape. Easiest way that I found to do that is I'll pop the head off. I'll take his little necklace off too so I don't lose it. And on the cape here, you'll see right up top, there are these black, like bungee cord material looking thing. So, they're little stretchy, bendy, elastic band pieces. So that is where those ports on Warrior are supposed to go into, right there. So, and also too, little quick side note, when you pull the cape out, it is a little flat. Go ahead and give it a little bit of a rub, scruff it up, just give it some life, because it does look a little flat, so you can get it looking nice. So easiest way, you'll see that on these pieces here, there is a hook that comes down. I don't know if you can notice it right there. So that hook piece is what you're trying to get the cape to loop over. So easiest way I found of doing it is kind of bringing the cape up top and then pushing it onto that hook and trying to get it to catch. And once it catches, you just kind of push it towards the back and it should be on there. So just like that. You don't need to push it all the way back on the piece. As long as you just kind of get it over that little hook, then that cape is nicely secured. So we're going to try to do the same thing on the other side. Push the piece upwards. That way you have some clearance from the buck and you're able to kind of come around and loop it. So we're going to come around. Let's see. The second one is a little bit more challenging because you don't have the cape floating like you do on the first one. But just give it a little patience. And almost got it. Of course, whenever you want to do this on camera, it never happens as smoothly as it does when you're doing it off camera. All right. I think I got it. There it is. So there it is on both sides right there. I'm going to go ahead and before I fix it, I'm going to go ahead and push it back on those joints. And I'm going to drop the necklace on. I'm just pushing it back to kind of give it a little bit of clearance so the necklace drops down. I mean, does it matter? Not really. It's just a little easier to drop the necklace down if you give it that clearance that it needs. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to pop Warrior's head back on. And You're going to move the cape forward again, get it to kind of sit right in front to where that hook is on both ends. And what you'll see is that that joint gets nicely hidden, and the cape sits nice and flush on the figure. So again, a nice bendy wire on the cape, so you definitely have some nice pliability with the cape. You can definitely get those action poses with the warrior. Um, Again, too, like the sheath, it might come a little bit bend, but again, dip it in the hot water, hit it with a hair dryer, and then you can either pop those little sticks in there, or just put the sword in there. You can also, if you do run it under hot water, get in the shape you need to, and then immediately run it under cold water, and it should hold that perfect shape right there. So um, that's all I got for you, Savages. Actually, I do have a nice little feature for those that have been with us since the My Action Figure Custom days and have kept any of their pieces around. Um, My Action Figure Custom parts work great on these bucks. So this is a nice piece painted by Timothy Peak, Mr. Peak himself. So definitely, if you have any weapon accessories, those will work great. Any helmeted heads, maybe even unhelmeted heads, will be awesome to see people paint up some MAFC stuff for Savage Crucible bucks. So real cool stuff, guys. So we're super excited to get Wave 2 out. Thank you to all you guys that are posting away and doing all these awesome photos and showing off your figures. We're loving it. We're super excited that you guys are excited to get these in hand. And with that being said, we'll catch you guys on the next episode here. Thanks to everybody that watched this, and take care.